Hey there, Heather. Ho there, Chef Cutter Dunlop. You to another Stone Cold Hockey video to do with the 91-92 season, in which we will try to take the Chicago Blackhawks to the Stanley Cup finals as per verbatim, but we are doing terribly. We're 4-4-1. We're still 1 point back of Detroit in the North. Like there's been some fairy tale stories. The San Jose Shark, well, Detroit, Chicago, Minnesota, Toronto, St. Louis are fighting for fourth place. The Smythe Division, Vancouver and Calgary have 10 points. LA and Edmonton are fighting Winnipeg with 7. And the newbies, San Jose, this is their inaugural season. They're 1-8. Prince of Wales, Montreal's been on fire 6-1-2. Hartford, Boston, Buffalo there. Quebec, so Washington, New York, and New Jersey. You got the Islanders, Philly, and Pittsburgh. Goal scoring, Luke Robitaille, Benoit Hogue, and Joe Mullen with 8 goals each. Brent Sutter, soon to be Chicago Blackhawk, has 7. Adam Creighton, soon to be Islander, has 6. So that's our main guy. Points wise, Brent Sutter has 15 points. Kirk Muller, 15. Gretzky, 11. But yeah, once we get Brent Sutter, he's going to be our boy. I forget when we got Brent Sutter. Was that in November? I can't remember. Anyway, Patrick Watt, Tim Shovelday, Kirk McLean looking pretty good. El Belfour, not so much. Standings wise, lots of teams play 8 or 9 games. Hartford's only played 6, and the Rangers have only played 10. Have played 10. Yeah, Devils would be second by points percentage. St. Louis would be fourth in the North. 4-4-1, 3-3 at home, 1-1-1 on the road. Highlights wise, 7 hat tricks. Nothing unusual. Well, Kevin Stevens had a 4-goal game. Yeah, I know. We would do Pittsburgh. Why is the cat meowing so heavily? I don't know. But anyway, 3 games have been in the 30 mark. Hartford, Montreal on October 14th, when Hartford had a 4-1 lead but gave up 5 straight goals. Dion, LeBeau, Savard, McPhee, and McPhee. So that was brutal. Washington, Toronto, 7-5. As Toronto was up 3-0 and then blew it to Mike Liut. And then Rangers, Hartford, 5-4. When the Rangers were up 4-1 and gave up 4 goals to Brown, Halik, Sanderson, and Cullen. Anyway, we will be playing the Pittsburgh Penguins in the Stanley Cup prelude, hopefully. Eddie the Eagle Belfour back from a contract dispute. Well, I think he would have been back at this point this year. Well, anyway, he will face Tom Barrasso, the big boy from Pittsburgh. So our best goalies against their best goalie. We have at Belfort, we have Dominic Hasek as the backup, and people forget that Dom Hasek was a Chicago backup before at Buffalo Sabre, and then of course Grant Fuhrer, when he was with the Sabres, he got hurt. Hasek stepped in, and Lord, did we not know that Hasek was going to be on fire. Jimmy Waits, who was the main goalie for Chicago before Belfort came back from his contract holdout, and Ray LeBlanc, who played for the U.S. Olympic team. Anyway, Pittsburgh with their backup goalie is Wendell Young. Kitchener. That's right. Wendell Young, former Kitchener Ranger, Memorial Cup champion, AHL champion, IHL champion, and Stanley Cup champion. Ken Reggett is there with Frank Pietrangelo. Well, technically, Ken Reggett is not with the Penguins because he used to be the Flyers goalie. The Flyers and Penguins made a deal. The Penguins traded away Mark Recchi to Philly. I think there were other. And yeah, Philly gave him Shel Samuelson too. Yeah, and Rick Tocchet came from Philly to Pittsburgh, and of course Ken Reggett also for the one of one Mark Recchi. I can't remember who else went to Philadelphia. Nevertheless, Frank Pietrangelo was starting out the 91-92 season as Penguins backup, but then he must have fell out or something. Well, Pittsburgh got Ken Reggett to back up Russell, and then Pietrangelo was traded to Hartford to help their goalie situation out. So, okay, so here's our main guys, our non-goalies. JR, Jeremy Roenick, Steve Larmer, who had an 880 game Ironman streak, but broke it because of a contract dispute. Michel Goulet, former Quebec icon. Brian Noonan, part of the 94 Rangers, Noodles. Dirk Graham, the first black captain in Chicago history. Look it up, people. Mike Hudson, soon to be 94 Ranger. Chris Chelios, second year coming back to his hometown Chicago from Montreal in that Dennis Savard deal. Steve Smith, who the Blackhawks picked up from the Oilers. It was a massive move for Dave Manson. It was massive because Edmonton basically ran Steve Smith out of town, even though that Smith had won 3 Stanley Cups with the Oilers. They still couldn't get past his error in 1986. Greg Gilbert, soon to be 94 Ranger. Jocelyn Lemieux. Keith Brown, Adam Creighton, soon to be Islander. Mike Peluso, the tough man. Brian Marchment, another tough guy. Stefan Bateau, 94 Ranger. Mike Stapleton, Frank Crucera, Dan Fitzolette, Steve Conroy, Steve Thomas, future Leaf. Igor Kravchuk, John Tonelli, still around? Wow. And Tony Horacek. The Penguins with Kevin Stevens, mainline Mario Lemieux back from injury. Joey Mullen looking like he's good. Mark Recchi, soon to be Flyer. Yammer Yager, his sophomore season in the NHL. Larry Murphy, great defenseman. I know that. Ronnie Francis, first full season in Pittsburgh. Bob Erie. Thank you. Brian Trottier, second year leaving the Islanders for the Penguins. And Paul Coffey, soon to be Los Angeles King. Kitchener. Troy Loney. Phil Bork. Jamie Leach. Grant Jennings. Yuri Herdina. Gordy Roberts. Paul Stanton. Ken Priestley. Alf Samuelson. Big boy. Jimmy Pack from Korea. Peter Tangalady. And Sean McCaffrey. All right, here we go. 4 minutes into the game. We score! Put the puck in the crate. Creighton 7 from Ronick and Mateau. 3 minutes later. Much later. Score! 4 minutes later. And we score! 5 minutes later. Forcer. Fight. Steve Smith and Grant Jennings going toe to toe. Alrighty. I think it hurts us more. 5 minutes later. Shot from the 2 minutes later. Hockey scored. 4-1. Guess we're not ready. We're definitely not ready. They take a penalty. Stevens takes the penalty. So 2 minutes later. What is that? We get crushed 5-1. Barraza was on fire. Belfour was not. That's pretty good. Ray LeBlanc didn't go for gold, Mom. Mama. Chicago. So we got to face Calgary. Well, the rule is we lose or tie. The next game must be simulated, unless it's against the original 16. And we lose to Calgary 4-1. Fernan beats Belfour. Creighton scored, but Roberts, and Gail Fleury finally scoring a goal against us. Of course we do. So we go to Hartford and we lose to Hartford 3-2. Belfort losing to Scrabble Sidorkowitz. Larmer and Matteau scoring goals for us. Rob Brown cutting for 2. We keep on losing and losing and losing. Montreal getting shut out on Hockey Night in Canada. That's unusual. Vancouver beating Edmonton on Hockey Night in Canada, and Toronto tying Detroit on Hockey Night in Canada. Wales Boston, but we have to play Boston because it's the original 6. We are in trouble. Ed Belfour back in the net against Andy Moog. It's like no Hashtag, no wait, no LeBlanc. But yeah, Belfour comes in. Moog for Boston, their main goalie. With Reggie Lemelin, the first goalie to wear synthetic pads. Backup Matt Deguis and Daniel Beffroon, who used to be a Kings icon. They have Fleddy Ruzicka, Stephen Leach, Bob Carpenter, former 50-goal scorer before his career took a tumble in 91, literally, as he hit himself headfirst into the Montreal form boards. Ray Bork, one of the best defensemen of all time, the best. Brian Ashton, who's traded more times than his bubblegum card. Ooh. Craig Jennings, great player. Andy Brickley, who is the color commentator for Bruins TV things nowadays. Peter Doris, Glennie Wesley, goodbye. Cam Neely, who's the dead man who hit me with a salt shaker. Great player, but he was a consistent 50-goal scorer for the Bruins, but then that knee from Alf Samuelson ruined his career. Dave Reed, the master of the shorthanded goal. Bobby Sweeney. Ken Hodge Jr., who dipped from that 1991 high of 30 goals. Joey Juneau, who came from the Canadian National Olympic team to the Bruins, and then the next year in the full season, he was a Calder Trophy winner. Chris Nyland, the bully, if you will, Scott Arneal. Now the Jets trained in Boston. Who did they send to the Jets? I don't know. Stefan Quintel, who cares? Don Sweeney, Nevin Marquardt still around, Jeff Lucero, Barry Pedersen, former 50-goal scorer who the Bruins had and then traded away to Vancouver for Cam Neely, and now they have back Garrett Galley and Jim Weimer. Remember, we only pick on the goal. Score! Brent Ashton, his 4th goal, which is 6. Maybe his scum will be. Maybe come on. We take a penalty. It's Peluso. That guy. But no goal. Juno got hit. 4 minutes later. They can't do anything. It's 1-0, so we are in trouble. We were only 7 games above 500. Here. 1 minute later, fuck. 5 minutes later. Wow. 2 minutes later. As ever, I shall leave you one summer. His name is Robert Goulet. It's Michel Goulet, his 3rd from Tonelli and Conrad. 4 minutes later. Nope. More later. Can we do it? Yes, we can. Who shot JR? JR shot the puck. His 6 from Brent and Chose. Oh, I guess we got rid of Creighton now. This is the time when we got Brent Sutter from Adam Creighton. Brutal mistake, I think, on our part, but yeah. Yeah, Creighton's gone. Sweeney. Noodles Noonan, his 2nd from Coursera and Jocelyn, makes it 3-1. 3 minutes into the 3rd. Nothing done. Nothing chance. No, stop. Much later, we're turning the puck. Who scored? Does it again. Roenick from Brown and Martin. 2 minutes later. Noodles makes it 5-1 from Hudson and Steve Smith. And Eddie Moog, you might as well stay in. They're going to tell him stay in. We get a penalty. Steve Smith. And they score Cam Neely. Who's the dead man who hit me with a Salt Checker. 4 minutes later. Kills. Not that matters. The Boston took a job penalty anyway. 5-2, so that's a great way to break our slump by beating Boston 5-2. Now, because technically because this game was supposed to be simulated, and I changed it because because the reason why I have the original 16 is because it's the 75th anniversary of the NHL. So the next Chicago game must be simulated unless it's against the original 16. And October trade. I thought we were in November. It's not. Our game. Where are we going? Montreal. Well, they faced the Islanders, so Creighton came to town to face Brett Sutter. We have to simulate this game, and we won 4-1. So Hasek in that against Steve Weeks. Another goal by King from Finley and Norton. Finselet with a goal. Noonan, and Hudson. Noodles has 4 goals in 2 games. Noonan is now getting back into shape. And Brett Sutter got 1 assist against the former team. So what can you do? This will be the 3rd game, right? Yep. This is our 3rd game. We are in Minnesota. Montreal won over Buffalo on Hockey Night in Canada. Quebec winning. First off, Toronto loses on Hockey Night in Canada. We're in Minnesota, the team that screwed us over in the 91 playoffs in real life. And Jimmy Waite is in net against John Casey. So Jimmy Waite's going to come in to play. The North Stars with 2 goalies, John Casey and Darcy Wokulek, who won the cup in VR World last year with Buffalo. All right, they have Alf Dolan, great player. Mike Modano, the number 1 overall pick in 1988, who the Leafs could have had if the Leafs had actually lost to the Red Wings on the final day of the season. North Stars would have made the playoffs. The Leafs would have been the number 1 draft pick. Dave Gagne is there. He was a 50-goal scorer in the thing last year. Brian Bellows, Kitchener. That's right. Former Kitchener Ranger Brian Bellows. Mike Craig, future Leaf. Todd Ellick, Brian Propp, who was a star in the Western Hockey League. Bobby Smith from North Star to Hampton North Star. Neil Broaden, the hometown favorite from Minnesota. And the record ice player. Gaetan Duchesne, the Shadow. Darian Hatcher, a great defenseman in his own right. Mark Bureau. Basson McCrae, who was part of the Mighty Ducks first movie. Stu Gavin, Mark Tenorti, Jim Johnson. He who shall not be named because of not only his vehicular manslaughter thing about Keith Maxson in 2003, but because he was a shitty Leaf captain. Shane Sherla, also a goon and a shadow. Brian Glenn, Craig Ludwig with only 1 pair of shin pads. Derek Smith, Steve Multate, and Chris Daquist. And David Shaw, Kitchener, former Ranger. New York Ranger. Anyway, here we go. This was the 3rd game, if you must know. 4 minutes later. No. Much later. Chance for us? No. Someone has to score. Honey Nut Chelios. His first from Ronak makes it 1-0. 5 minutes. Chicago takes a penalty. It's Sutter. Minnesota? No. Ouch. Kabibble. 5 minutes later. Chelios. Gaetan Duchesne gets hit. And they score. Gagne needs to win. Again. 1-1 tie. End of the period. Still tied at 1 through 2 periods. We're really liking this. 3 minutes later. We score. JR shot the puck, his 8th. No one shot JR. He shot the puck. Tonelli and Goulet also with assist. Get something going, and we score! Alarmer. Ooh! His 6th from JR and Matteau makes it 3-1. Much later, killing the clock, and we score again. If ever I leave you, what is the summer? He ain't Robert Goulet. He's Michel Goulet. His 4th from Hudson and Sutter. 4-1. We're toying with them. Dirk Graham, former North. I think he played for the North. That's right. 2 minutes later, Minnesota takes the penalty against Ramage. Ronak gets hit, and they kill the zone. Big deal. And another Minnesota penalty. It's Gagne. Well, I could Purdue. And we score! Dirk Graham has scored from Goulet and Michael Stapleton, 5-1. Well, Minnesota got their butts handed to them. Good 2 periods for them. Bad third period for them. 6 different goal scorers combined. But yeah, Jimmy Waite did it. So now you go back to 500. Well, we play Minnesota next, but we're going to simulate that one. And we lose 3-2 as Hashik losing to John Casey. Our goals by Goulet and Ronik, B. Smith, Brian Bellows, and Todd Elliott with the goals from Minnesota. Yeah, because we can't play the same team twice in one video, even if it's like the third one. Our next game is against who? Our next game is against... Come on, guys. Stop the bleeding. Quebec, okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. We have to simulate, right? Yes. Quebecois, we win in overtime. Waite beats Jacques Cloutier, who was a former Blackhawk. Overtime heroics, JR has 10 from Goulet, while Goulet ruining his former team with the assist. And we are not playing on Friday. Well, we're in Montreal. Oh, Hockey Night in Canada time. We're going to be doing Hockey Night in Canada. And we are second in the North. Detroit is running away with more ties than losses. We're second. Minnesota third. Toronto's nipping St. Louis for fourth. Vancouver and Calgary leading the Smythe with 20 plus points. Winnipeg, Edmonton, Los Angeles falling behind. San Jose 3 and 15. Not half bad. It could be worse. Montreal 23 points in the north. Boston, Hartford, Quebec, and Buffalo. Rangers, Pittsburgh Islanders top 3. New Jersey, Washington, Philly behind. Goal scoring wise, JR's got 10. He's one of 15 with 10, but he's tied for 6. Barrasso, Chevelday, and Van Biesberg are doing the stars. Only 26 active goalies for goals against. Belfour's 14th, 4-6-1. Ken Reagan's only played 5 games, and yet he's got more credibility than Belfour. Yeah, I know. Ron Hextall has not won a game. 397. He's ahead of Casey and Beaupre, who have won multiple games. Weird. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.